Fish in a Tree, Chapter 40, Tears of Different Kinds. Keisha and Albert call me Madam President every chance they get. At the end of the day, we head out the front of the school, and I am just so happy, like I could fly. A loud, sharp voice interrupts my happiness. What do you mean you lost? You lost? Shay is standing with her mother. After all the time we spent writing that speech, she says. Did you look at the audience? Did you speak up and smile? I did. I did all of that. The other girl just got more votes. Shay sounds like someone completely different. The Shay I know, always so quick to pick a fight, now has a voice that sounds like a kindergartner. Sorry, Mama. She brushes a tear from her cheek. Man, Keisha says, that woman is fierce. Geez, I can't believe it. But I feel sorry for Shay, I say. No way, Keisha says. Don't be feeling sorry for her. It's not an excuse to go around doing terrible things to other people. Yeah, I guess you're right. Have you learned nothing, she asks. Of course I'm right. We laugh and she gets on her bus. All of a sudden, I'm in a rush to get to A.C. Peterson's. Running through the glass doors of Peterson's, I forget that I was going to be cool about telling my mom that I am class president. I forgot about telling her like it's any other thing. Instead, I jump up and down and say it loud enough that some of the regulars congratulate me before she does. Her face says she is trying to figure out if she heard me right. Yes, I say, nodding furiously. Mom, they voted me class president. The kids in my class, not the teacher. The kids did. She holds her arms out and I run into them. I am so proud of you, she says in a shaky voice. I know why she's crying. I can't believe it either. Chapter 41, Not So Secret Letter. In that foggy time between sleeping and being awake, before I even open my eyes, I already remember that I am class president. I ask myself if it was a dream, knowing that it wasn't. Knowing by the way it feels like my insides are rising into the air even before I sit up. It's like when you wake up on Christmas morning and remember what day it is. I lay there thinking that I am happy Mr. Daniels counted the votes in front of everyone. I don't think I would have believed him if he had just said I'd won later. When I get to school, everyone acts the same, but I feel different. I put my stuff away and head to my desk, where I find an envelope with my name on the front. Weird. I sit down and slide it off the desk. Glancing around, I pull a piece of paper from the envelope. I expect it will be a note from Mr. Daniels congratulating me, but it's not. It's a full page of cursive writing. I recognize some of the words like love, but I don't know what most of it says. My name is at the bottom. The name at the bottom is Max. I look over at him and he nods once. I look away feeling like my face must be glowing like Rudolph's nose. I fold up the letter and slide it into my pocket, wishing I could read it. I think that when I get home and can study it, I may be able to figure it out, but I can't stare at it now. I look over at Keisha, who's putting her things in the closet. Hey, she says, sitting down. Hey, my mouth opens to tell her about the note, but she's not the best person at being quiet about things, and I'm afraid everyone will find out about it. So I take a deep breath and decide it will have to wait. I don't have a choice. I'm both happy and mad at myself. Happy about the note and mad I can't read it. Max is cute and I like the red and white football jerseys that he wears all the time. And now that I think he likes me, I think I might like him too. So how does it feel to be president? Keisha smiles. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, man. This may be the best week of my entire life. Same old stuff, I say. Huh? Same old stuff? Already gone to your head? Don't worry, I'll still talk to you and everything. Like you could ever ignore me, we both laugh. Okay, my fantasticals, Mr. Daniels begins. He reminds us to put our homework in the basket and gets the class helpers working on lunch counts and stuff. And I sit up straighter, feeling like I have a place in this class. After Mr. Daniels finishes with the boring morning stuff, he says, one more thing, our new class president, Allie Nickerson, has her first student government meeting ready today. So if you have any questions for her, please let her know. If you have ideas for changes, she's the one in charge. I know that I shouldn't smile, but keeping my mouth from smiling is like trying to keep Travis from loving cars. The first suggestion I get is from Oliver. I'm trying to do my work, and he stands in front of my desk. I have a suggestion. Okay, what is it? I think we should be able to bring candy for snacks, like piles of it, like dump trucks backing up to the school with a warning beeper going, and then it would dump like a huge pile of candy in front of the school, and the kids could use shovels to collect it. because that rule they made this year about healthy snacks is dumb and took away the only thing about school I liked. And Oliver, Mr. Daniels interrupts. He looks up. You have a question? I'm giving my advice to the president. I have an idea. He half smiles. Okay then, well, finish up and get back to your seat. Oliver looks back at me. Okay, can you do that? I'll try. He looks disappointed. Suki interrupts. I disagree. The healthier snack roll was good. It is bad for your body to fill up with candy. He looks over at her. Stop acting like you're a grown-up. Jeez. Other kids give me suggestions too. Just before lunch, I hear Shay complaining that if she had been elected, she'd have started a horseback riding club at school. For a second, I feel bad, and then I realize she couldn't possibly do that. Horses? Where would we get horses? I think about starting a Fly to the Moon Every Thursday club. A mind movie plays in my head of a silver rocket with blue stripes flying to the moon with Keisha, Albert, and me strapped in. Albert calmly explains the energy required to lift the rocket. Keisha is screaming. She's so happy, and I'm laughing because I'm happy they're happy. I'm pulled out of my movie by Shay, who's standing in front of me. Everyone agrees. You should go crawl into a hole and never come out. Since I won the election, I guess not everybody feels that way. And I'm surprised that instead of saying something back to me, she just stomps off. At the end of the day, as we are getting ready to board the buses, Shay tromps up to me with her shadow, Jessica, right behind her. So, did you get the letter? Why is she asking me about that? A little voice in my head warns me. What letter? Shay glances behind her and turns back. You know, the letter. What are you talking about? I ask. She is impatient. The letter. She drops her voice to a whisper. From Max, saying you should meet him for lunch. You never showed. He is really disappointed. Oh, he is? She glances behind herself again. So, do you like him? Why did he want to see me at lunch? Allie, you can't just ignore something like that. It's rude. I see Max coming, but don't say anything. She continues, he really likes you, so you should answer Max's letter and say the thing in it that he says, too. Okay, will you tomorrow? What letter, he asks. Max? Oh, hi, Shay says, stumbling over her words. What letter? You said my name. I never thought I'd see Shay unable to talk. Actually, I say, the love letter Shay says you wrote to me. I hand it to him. Thanks very much, but I'm busy. Wait. I didn't actually, he says to me, trying to be nice. Then he looks at the letter and at Shay and Jessica, and he doesn't look so nice. Jessica turns pale, but not as pale as Shay does. Whatever was going to happen at the lunch table is something I'm lucky to have missed. It's the first time ever I've been grateful not to be able to read. Chapter 42, The Gifts of No Excuses, Scotch Tape, and Antibiotics. Mr. Daniels calls me up to his desk. Here, I have something for you. I'm excited until I see it's a book. Not like I hate them, like I used to, but they still scare me. I stare at it, hoping he just wants to book talk it, not actually read it. I'd like you to read this. I open my mouth to speak, my mind already rolling out multiple excuses. He puts his hands up. Listen, Allie. I know it won't be easy. I know it will take time. But the thing is, my excuses become harder to say. I think you can read this one, and I want you to try. I reach out and take the book, which has a picture of a kid holding a goldfish bowl. I flip through the pages. The book isn't long as far as chapters go. That's a relief. I look up at him and hold his gaze. Normally, I'd be giving him all kinds of reasons I can't do this, but the thing is, Mr. Daniels could hand me a book as heavy as a boulder, and I'd try to read it, just because he asked me to. Okay, we are going to begin a unit on persuasive writing, Mr. Daniels says. So I'd like you to tell me, if you could have an unlimited amount of any single object, what would it be? It can't be magical, have special powers, or anything like that. Just an ordinary, everyday type of object. Well, obviously, Shay speaks slowly like she's talking to a little kid. Wouldn't everyone just choose money? Albert looks confused. Not something I see too often. The first thing I thought of was antibiotics. Really? Mr. Daniel steps forward, putting his hands in his pockets. There are many who can't afford medications, so I would like to give them out to people who need them. All over the world. Then he seems to be thinking out loud. I wonder if antibiotics would help or hurt alien life forms. Well, Shay sputters, if you have an unlimited amount of money, you could buy the medicine, right? I catch her rolling her eyes at Jessica. He shrugs. I'd rather just have the medicine. Scotch tape, Oliver yells. I want Scotch tape. Most of us laugh along with him. And why is that, Oliver, Mr. Daniels asks. Because it's awesome, that's why. People don't think how tough life would be without Scotch tape. Mr. Daniels nods. You may have a point there, Oliver. Or Elmer's glue. I love Elmer's glue. If I had barrels of it stored up in the garage, I could cover my hands with it every day and then peel it off. I love doing that. And it grosses my mom. I tell her it's skin. Shay makes a noise. What? Oliver asks her. That's ridiculous, she says. What's ridiculous, he asks. The opinions of others are to be respected, Mr. Daniels says, but Shay and Oliver talk right over him. Wanting tape and glue, Shay says. No, it isn't, because I would also use them with paper to make notes for my little sister. They make her feel better. Make her feel better, Mr. Daniels seems concerned. Is she ill? No, not anymore. But she had something that was called, well, it was long. It had 5 syllables, and she had to go to the hospital a lot to sleep over. And when she'd go, I'd visit her and bring her cards. But they made her feel happy. My mom says I was the one who helped her get better. I see. Wow, Oliver, you get huge creativity points today. Mr. Daniel muses his hair. You're one of a kind. You know that, Oliver? Suki raises her hand. Grandfather says everyone is unique, special, unlike all others. That makes us each great. I like that, Suki, Mr. Daniel says, and you are indeed great. She remains seated but bows a bit. Thank you, sir. Mr. Daniels bows back and then stands up straight. In fact, you're all great, my fantasticos. Albert raises his hand and Mr. Daniels nods toward him. Excuse me, but just because something is unique, that doesn't mean it's good. After all, E. coli, a dangerous bacteria, is unlike all others. Point taken, Albert, but I do like that people are all different. That if we all looked the same, thought the same, had the same beliefs. That sounds boring, Keisha said. Indeed it does, he says. I think that I wouldn't mind being more like everyone else, but then I think I wouldn't want to draw like everyone else, and I wouldn't want to act like Shay or Jessica. All of a sudden, there is screaming. It is Oliver. Ant murderer! Ant murderer! What is it, Oliver? Mr. Daniels asks. He points at Shay. Ant murderer! All I did was step on a dumb ant. What is he so freaked out about? You had no right to kill him. He was just walking by. You think it was a him? It's just a dumb ant. Who cares? I care, Oliver says, getting down on all fours with a tissue to check on the ant, which is clearly dead. He cleans it up with a tissue and slips it into his pocket. You're going to keep it? She sputters. While I am not going to just throw him in the garbage, I'll bury him at home. She begins to laugh. Shay, Mr. Daniel says, there will be none of that. She stops. We are all different. You care about some things and Oliver cares about others. We have to work to accept each other even though we may not agree. Yeah, Oliver yells. And Oliver, Mr. Daniel says, I think you have to cut Shay a break here. It's pretty common for people to step on ants. So, Oliver, he asks and waits. Oliver turns to Shay and mumbles, sorry, and climbs back into his seat. Thank you, Oliver. Mr. Daniels wanders over to Oliver's desk. I'm glad you apologize. Now that you have, he leans over and rests his hands on his knees. I'd like to add that you have one of the kindest hearts I know. You care so much about everything, always looking out for others, and that, my fine young fellow, is going to make you a great man someday. Chapter 43, Set the World on Fire. After the teasing that Albert has taken for his shirt, Keisha and I decide to do something for him. The teasing hasn't seemed to bother him that much, but it bothers us. So we make our own shirts to go with his. We walk up behind him while he is organizing his papers into piles. Albert, do you like our shirts? I ask. He turns around and stares at me with a shirt that says steel and Keisha with a shirt that says magnesium. I think it's the first time I've ever seen Albert truly confused. Okay, Keisha says, get it? They match your shirt, but not the genius guy alone on the rock in space with his robots thing, because I told you I thought that was a bit creepy. Oliver's still confused, so I interrupt. The shirts match because the three of us together are going to set the world on fire, like Mr. Daniels says. Yes, he says, flint, steel, and magnesium are commonly used together for fire starters. I get it. The corner of Albert's mouth twitches, which is like someone else doing cartwheels down the hall. Without thinking, I yelled to Shay across the room, hey, you tease one of us, you tease all of us. Shay has an expression like she just smelled rotten meat and makes Keisha and me laugh really hard. Then I pat Albert on the back. Just wanted you to know that you can always count on us. Well, that would make you either a set of fingers or an abacus. Albert, seriously? Keisha shakes her head and then leans forward. It means we think you're a cool dude. We're allies, I smile. He goes back to arranging his papers. Yeah, I know, he says softly. I am most grateful. Chapter 44, Tales of a 6th Grade Something. Travis drives me to school because the project I did for our book report is too hard to take on the bus. I've always used my art for projects at school. But this is a 3-dimensional scene on a piece of wood, a scene from Tales of a 4th Grade Nothing, the book that Mr. Daniels gave me to read. What's gotten into you, Travis asked. Since when do you smile like that on a Monday morning? I'm going to school feeling proud for once, so I just sit there continuing to smile. Hey, he says, hitting me on the side of the leg. I'm happy to see you so happy about school, Al. He laughs a bit. To be honest, I wouldn't mind feeling some of that. When I get to class, lots of kids surround me. I guess it's because the project is so big. Shay is the first to come over. She looks at the kitchen scene I have made mostly of paper, including a working light over the sink that Travis helped me make. How did you do that? Shay asks, pointing at the lit light over the sink. There's a battery underneath. She looks disgusted. And you made that? Oliver comes over and grabs for the light. Cool. Before I can move, he knocks the wire, which makes the light go off. Shay begins, Oliver, you're such a... Leave him alone, I interrupt. If I don't care, you shouldn't. Shay and Oliver are both wide-eyed, but for different reasons. Oliver smiles a little. It's okay, Oliver, I'll fix it. Shay is squinty-eyed for a bit and then laughs in a way that is louder than normal. She is pointing at my project. I read that book like 4 years ago, and there aren't any soldiers in it, she says, pointing at a picture hanging on the wall of the room I made. Max comes over. What's up? She has a picture in here that has nothing to do with the book. Book report, Allie, should be about the book. Well, I say, feeling a little warm all of a sudden. Most houses have art on the walls, so I figured I'd decorate the room and drew a picture of my dad in his uniform. Wait, Max brightens, your dad is in the army? Yeah. That's cool. What does he do? He's a captain with the tank division. Your father drives tanks? Seriously, that's awesome. I look up. Thanks. He holds up his fist to fist bump me, and he walks away. He tells the other guys about my dad. From the look on Shay's face, you can tell her insult backfired on her. Then Mr. Daniels comes over. He's wearing a tie with books on it. Wow, Allie, that is amazing. He leans forward and drops his voice. I'm really proud of you. My response is stuck in my throat. I watch a series of movies in my head, trying to see a time when a teacher has said this to me. There isn't one. Allie, he says. Still, I can't speak. Usually, when I find myself unable to speak, it's because I'm humiliated. I like this feeling a lot more.